Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Cornbread! I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid drinkers. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday. This is your host, Derek Oakery, on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. We're talking Lions football multiple times a week. I really appreciate you joining the show. Got an interesting topic for you today. We're going to talk about the Lions offense, what to expect as we head into training camp, less than 2 weeks away. But before we get into that, I got to do something off the top. I can't believe I didn't do this earlier. I definitely should have. But let me fill up your glass with a big glass of Kool-Aid before we get rolling.
Drink it in, man.
But here's what I want to do. Right before I got recording, I saw a YouTube video, Tori Petrie on Woodward Sports. And for all you guys that have been listening to the Koolaid Cast for years, you've heard us have some fun doing the Tori Petrie versus Kay Adams debate here on the show. You know, I'm always trying to give Tori some props. I always tried to show her some love on Twitter and just loved the work she did with the Lions. I thought she was just a great person. You know, she even had some great faith-based, things that she shared online. You could tell her faith was strong, great person, hard worker, good quality, all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, I don't think I even brought it up on the show where she had that emotional goodbye video, decided to leave the Lions, just kind of disappeared. You know, the fans were definitely caught off guard as well as upset, but just seeing her again on this Woodward Sports interview, I just think Tori Petrie is an unbelievable across the board. I mean, she was so fun, so nice, so passionate about Detroit, such a genuine person, I think. So I just loved this interview that she did. She's back here for a friend's wedding, I believe is what she said, and I'm going to be over in Grand Rapids, and did this interview and was very cool about just kind of saying that she's in North Carolina now and doing her thing and seeing what's next, and felt like it was time to go. I mean, I'm sure there's some different things that went on there behind the scenes with the Lions, but you could definitely see Tori Petrie, being a big star with, one of the big networks, whether it be NFL Network, ESPN, or all different types of platforms that are out there now. So I really respect the fact that she felt it was time to go away. She moved away. She didn't have the next job figured out, or isn't going to something where they say, oh, it's bigger and better, wait till I tweet it out, unless she's, being coy that way. I thought she was just, there are times in our lives where we just got to make a change, and respect to her for having the guts to leave an NFL job and a job that she had done for 7 years and done at a high level. I mean, she came in here as a redhead from the University of Florida and, hadn't done much reporting kind of right out of school, I believe. And as she said in the interview, she grew up in front of us Lions fans with the humor that she brought, the ability to connect with coaches and players, the, creative things that she did, both visually in her videos and her different takes, her podcasts, all the stuff she did, as well as, always kind of putting a different spin. It wasn't always just basic football with Tori. She always gave it a unique spin, entertaining, as well as like I said, kind of a no-nonsense person, though. Like, she would sit down with a mic and could talk football and be fun, but also, not frustrate the diehards out there. And that's a skill, no doubt about it. So I just wanted to start the show with that about just, it was great to see her so happy. It was great to hear that she, like I said, had the courage to leave and also didn't have something lined up, but has the faith that not only is it going to be okay, like, she's too dang talented to not do something incredible in football and sports, in anything she puts her mind to, really. You know what I mean? And like I said, we've had fun with it on the show, try to show her some respect, as well as just, she really grew on us Lions fans and Detroit Kool-Aid drinkers as our reporter and a person that we could be proud of and say, hey, that's one of our people in the media department, or that's, even she did sidelines and things at times. So, it definitely will be missed. It's going to be a different season without her out there doing her thing. But I know she'll pop up somewhere, and this interview was great. The fact that she's back in Michigan enjoying her time with friends and family is cool. And all the best to her where she goes back to North Carolina, and whatever she does next is going to be awesome. So I just wanted to say that off the top. Tori, you're the best. And really appreciate all you did for the Lions, the state of Michigan, city of Detroit, and all the best. Absolutely. All right, Detroit Kool-Aid drinkers. After that, I think you need another glass of that Detroit Kool-Aid.
Drink it in, man. Drink it in, man.
Make it a double, why don't you? And let's just give you a side of cornbread.
Cornbread!
Now, what I want to do on the show today is I want to talk about the Detroit Lions offense. I mean, the last few years, we feel like, man, we got a pretty good O, but we had the same names, Marv, Kenny, Stafford, and a few pieces on the offensive line, whether it be Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker, but Hawkinson's only been here for a couple years. He's coming into his own. I feel like there's a lot of new faces, both on the field as well as the coaching staff. So I just want to get into it a little bit about maybe what we can expect and how they might run things. And, like I said, the fan base as well as the team has seemed to lean to the offensive side of the ball and just forget about defense. And that's what's killed us the last couple of years. The defense has really been poor, and I don't know, the offense really kept up its end of the bargain as well. But this is a new year in 2021, and I'm really curious to see what they got. So let's start with the coaches. When you're looking at the offensive side of the ball, I mean, underneath of head coach Dan freaking Campbell, you guys know who he is, right?
We're going to bite a kneecap off. We're going to smile at you. We're going to take your other kneecap. We're going to smile at you. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. We're going to be the last one standing. All right? That's going to be the mentality.
As I often say, yes, I'm going to do everything I can to get that quote in on every show whenever possible, because it's tremendous. And if you're sitting there, man, like, I've had enough of that quote. I mean, Dan Campbell's got a little something for you, too.
You've had enough of that.
He's had enough of you having enough of the greatest quote of all time in a press conference.
You've had enough of that.
You know what Dan Campbell's also had enough of? The Lions' offense not doing big things. So he's just sick of it.
You've had enough of that.
Exactly, Dan Campbell. So starting with the coaches, you went ahead and you gave yourself a call to Anthony Lynn, former head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, a.k.a. the San Diego Chargers. Anthony Lynn was out there for quite a bit. People can beat him up. He had some issues, whether it comes to in-game stuff or, different things. But I always thought the Chargers had a good squad. They always were kind of winning ball games. They've had a few lean years here or there. But Anthony Lynn's very intriguing because if you can be a head coach, and take on all that responsibility, and then they add you as a coordinator, I think that only helps the overall staff, no doubt about it. With wisdom, that leadership. Where I really gained a lot of respect for Anthony Lynn, too, was when they were on Hard Knocks recently, when they had the two LA teams. This guy was, no nonsense on those Zoom calls, but he was also personable. I felt like his players liked him, but he's also a guy that's not going to mess around. You perform on the field, he'll play you. If you don't, you're going to sit down, and I think you got to have a little bit of both of those things to be a good head coach and now a good OC. So there were some stats. I don't have them right in front of me, but something I found on Twitter. Again, you guys can find me on Twitter. Give me a follow as well as talk some football with me. I'm at Derek Okrie. That's spelled DEREK OKRIE. And something came out about like Anthony Lynn when he was an OC, which was really only for... Gosh, was it a full season? I mean, it was not very long. It was surprising to see how little he's really been an OC in his career, even though he's a head coach and people assume like he's got his hands in the play calling. You know, you never really know what type of mix. You know, he is in the loop on everything, but was he really, in on the offensive game plans out with the Chargers, or was he just the head guy and did he delegate to his coordinator? We don't really know. So he only really did it, with Buffalo, I think, for a very short stint, even interim stint, I believe it might have been. And what was crazy about this stat, and again, I don't have it right in front of me, but it was something to the effect of when Anthony Lynn was an OC and he was, up in the late in the game, he ran the ball more than anybody else. When Anthony Lynn, was even in a game, he had the highest run percentage out of anybody, that's done it. There was some other stat too, which leaned toward the run game, saying this guy loves the run game. He loves to run the football. He especially loves to run the football when his team is even or up or it's late in the ball game. And, there's two ways you can look at that. You can be like, hey, this is a passing league now. We got to stretch people out. You got to get some speed out on the field. We got to go up over the top. We can't nickel and dime and be running 2 yards in a cloud of dust. But Detroit's been craving a run game. I mean, we've been the worst in the National Football League for over a decade, 2 decades now. And it's got to stop. So if Anthony Lynn's going to focus on the run game, he's got a couple horses there, young horses. When you're looking at DeAndre Swift, we call him Swizzle here on the show. Or you got Jay Swaggy, Jamal Williams. I mean, those guys got to get you excited. I mean, oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
Exactly. But, I mean... I think he's going to run the ball. I think that's just his MO. And we'll get to more of that later about maybe what the scheme and stuff will be. But I think Anthony Lynn's a great guy. The big thing he said was when he got the call from Dan freaking Campbell, there was no question he was going to come coach with Detroit, and he felt like they were building something special. So you always hear these positive quotes, but I can't see this guy being nothing more than on board with what Dan Campbell is doing, being in a support role. Of course, he wants to do great as an OC and maybe get another job as a head coach down the road. But I would think Anthony Lynn's here for, 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is. As a coordinator, if nothing else comes up, I could definitely see that. But I'm really intrigued to see what he'll bring. I think it will be run heavy, but he's also not afraid to throw the football, which he did with the Chargers, under his regime. And I think he's just a really smart guy. He knows how to relate to people. He seemed like a very consistent disciplinarian, but also a guy that his players will really take to. So I can't wait to see what he does. Staying with the coaches, I mean, Randall L. is the wide receiver coach. We had Sean Jefferson here for a long time, and his wide receivers really seemed to love him. You would go to training camp, and Sean Jefferson was all over the field, hollering and getting after people and getting in drills. And, that was always fun to watch as a fan, but also like you like a coach like that, especially at the receiver position. And that's exactly what I think Randall L. is going to be. He's going to be fiery. He's going to be personable. He's going to be fun. And he'll also go out and could probably cut you up running a crossing route or get after a DB or two here on this team. So I think he's going to be really good. I mean, he's down in Tampa. They had some success there. And, again, a nice up-and-coming coach to get at the wide receiver position, which we all know the Lions have not invested highly in the receiver position when it comes to talent, draft picks, money, but they will. I don't know how quickly or exactly how they're going to attack it, but with Randall L. there at the helm, they will get through this year with what they got and make the best of it, and then add some premier pieces, whether it be free agency, trades, the draft at the wide receiver position, mark my words. The other, another coach that just got me ultra excited, I mean, drinking that Detroit Koolaid.
Drink it in, man.
Deuce Staley. I mean, this guy is a proven coach with the Philadelphia Eagles. No nonsense guy, fun guy, brings a lot of juice. And I think, all signs are pointing he's going to get along really well with the two young guys I mentioned. They drafted a kid. They're going to have to find, some type of veteran presence or a guy that can kind of be the player coach in that room. I don't think they have that right now. But Deuce is such a great guy, man. My only worry is, if you look back at his time in Philly, the way that they used Miles Sanders there, they had some other running backs that have come through there. And it's kind of hit or miss, I don't know if that was the overall coaching scheme or whatever it may be, but I can't say it was a slam dunk all the time in the run game. For the Philadelphia Eagles, a lot of bodies coming through, and I could see Deuce being a no-nonsense guy. If somebody gets on his bad side, they're going to be buried on the depth chart type of thing. But like I say, also, if you make plays, I think he's a guy that will love you. So I'm excited about him. I think there's a little volatility there, but the juice he's going to bring, the experience, the knowledge, and the passion is going to outweigh everything, and I just think he's going to be great. He's the assistant head coach as well, so he'll be working with Dan freaking Campbell, and I think that they're going to be fun as a duo as well, and hopefully Deuce does great here for a couple years and then gets a chance to be either an OC or a head coach. That'd be the next step for him, no doubt about it. Hank Fraley's the O-line coach. He finally got his chance, I believe, last year. And just rave reviews from Taylor Decker, Ragnow. They all fought for him to say, hey, I know you're going to kind of clean house, but Hank Fraley's a guy you got to keep around. He played in the league. He's got their respect. The line seemed to be, more than efficient the last year or so, in the middle of the pack in the NFL. And now you add a talent like Penei Sewell. I mean, they should be very good up in the front. That should probably be the strength of the overall team, you would think, is that O-line. And they've added a lot to the D-line as well. So Hank Fraley's got a new premier player to add. He's got other young players up there. I really want to see him get the best out of them. Get them to be not only a well-oiled, type unit, but I want to see the nasty. I want to see them bury some people. I want to see them come out as a unit. And every week, the opposing team is like, oh, damn, we got to deal with Detroit's O-line. Man, they're going to be 4 quarters of just nasty and physical, and we're not going to be able to get to the quarterback because these guys can dance. They know their schemes. They know how to communicate. I mean, he's got to get all that done for that unit to be incredible. I really hope he does that. Quarterbacks coach, Mark Brunell. I mean, words coming out of those OTAs was that Mark Brunell was all over the field, running around, whooping it up, talking trash. I mean, it'll be interesting because I don't know. I don't have his coaching background in front of me, but I don't know that it's too deep. But I think he obviously played. He played at a pretty high level at different stops in his career. And a man of faith, I believe, and a guy that, gosh, if him and Jared Goff can just get along well and can get the best out of Jared Goff, that's what I'm looking for Mark Brunell. I think it's going to be fun if he brings juice and he's a former player. I mean, tell me if that sounds familiar. Most of these guys are, but man, it's I don't know. It'd be interesting because our quarterback coach the last couple of years, like I said, it's not a huge knock, but it is kind of a criticism. I felt like the quarterback coach was always just, oh, Matt Stafford's the greatest ever, and he can't do anything wrong. And they talk up they bring in all these other backups that were Matt Stafford's buddies, and it's like, now we just got a fresh slate at that position, and I wouldn't mind it if Mark Brunell comes out in the media or says, Jared Goff, he's got to play better. He's got to protect the football. He's got to, if he has some slumps, and if he's playing great, I mean, go ahead and praise the guy. You know what I mean? Like, tell him sky's the limit, but be both, because we've had lots of years here where the QB coach was just always seemed like a placeholder, a clipboard guy, where it's just like he wasn't adding anything or adding any fire or, can't say Matt Stafford got a ton better from 2011 to the time he left here. It was about the same guy that you would see. So, excited to see what Mark Brunell has. I didn't go get the tight ends coach but I know I saw an interview with him. He seems excited about Hockenson and company, So those are the coaches, and I feel like they're going to be fun. They're going to be vocal. They're going to be personable. but they got to get production, and they got to get W's, and they got to get this offense to be much more consistent. I'll get into that in a moment, but I need the offense to start fast some games. If they do end up starting slow, which we've seen way too much here in Detroit, we need to make some adjustments and get rolling. They need to protect the quarterback first and foremost, as well as knock some people off the football. That's been the problem in the run game. I can't say that we haven't had a few talented backs, but we just seem never to get any push. We're always missing a block or a pull or letting a guy loose off the edge to get our quarterback killed. So they really got to be more assignment sound up front and be able to knock people back so that you can get those short yards, as well as give me a crease so Swizzle can run through and doesn't have to shake and bake 4 people to make 3 yards. Give him a crease and let him run. He did that a couple times last year. It was fun to watch. Like I said, let's feature Hawkinson in the pass game. He needs to be more effective, so that coach is going to have to stay on him and keep his mind in the game. And just really excited to see what they could do. I love the coaching staff and all that. So let's go ahead and do this. I want to do that respect for Torrey off the top, as well as spend a good amount of time on the coaches, which I did. But let's go ahead and take a break. Get Reality Sports Online, our other great sponsors in here. And then when we come back, I want to talk about kind of what this scheme might look and feel like, as well as what the approach would be, and focus on some of the players as well. So, everybody, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
A Max, seu streaming queridinho, veio aqui no seu podcast para saber. Você curte reality aventureiro ou prefere um conteúdo mais emocionante? Seja lá qual for seu preferido, tem na Max. Os realities que você ama, como Quilos Mortais, agora em versão 100% brasileira. E tem novidade, Sobrevivência Extrema vai ser o seu novo vício para maratonar. Tem Largados e Pelados, Masterchef, Operação Fronteira e muito mais conteúdo brazuca para ver. Vida real para todos os gostos é na Max.
Detroit Koolaid drinkers, I am fired up. I am excited to tell you about one of our new great sponsors. Now, by now, most of you have probably heard of Reality Sports Online, the powerful fantasy sports platform where owners get to build and manage their fantasy team like a real NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it? I mean, it's time to go see what the buzz in the Dynasty fantasy community is all about. Free agency, multi-year contracts, rookie drafts, multi-team trades, franchise tags, contract extensions, first-round rookie options, and so much more. Think it sounds complicated? It's not. The best thing about Reality Sports Online Fantasy Front Office is that it doesn't take any more time than a standard league. It just requires more strategy. Do you think you're among the fantasy elite? Well, this is the platform to test your mettle. Still not sure? You can test your general manager skills for free in a mock free agency auction. So here's what I need all you guys to do. Head over to Reality Sports Online. You'll hear me talk about it on the show and call it RSO. Head over to Reality Sports Online and check them out right now.
Quando você ouve um podcast, está procurando entretenimento ou conhecimento, certo? E se você procura por desempenho e qualidade para o seu veículo, qual a sua escolha? Os amortecedores Motorcraft têm tecnologia Ford e oferecem uma condução suave para uma viagem tranquila e segura. Escolha a confiabilidade dos amortecedores Motorcraft, válidos para a linha K, Fiesta, EcoSport e muito mais. Quando terminar seu podcast, é só acessar a loja da Ford no Mercado Livre e experimentar a diferença.
All right, everybody, Detroit Koolaid drinkers, we appreciate you drinking in, the sponsors of the show.
Drink it in, man.
We appreciate you drinking in and hitting that subscribe button on the show.
Drink it in, man.
And I just mostly appreciate you drinking and serving up that Detroit Kool-Aid.
Drink it in, man.
I couldn't do it without you. I couldn't thank you enough for the support. We've been doing this show for a couple years now. Continues to grow. Just a good time to jump on here and talk football and fires me up, gets me excited when you guys are finding me on Twitter and saying, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, who should I draft on my fantasy team? What do you think Michigan's going to do this year in college football? You know, all that stuff is fun to do. We're all busy, but never too busy to try to talk ball and enjoy it with the fans and the listeners of the show. And by the way, the listeners of the show, a lot of you guys got in on the Detroit Koolaid Cast Fantasy League that I threw together. Slow draft that's probably been going on for 5-6 weeks now, however long it's been. I mean, it's a slow draft, all right, but real fun watching all the teams, 20-team league. Lots of people putting together rosters in different ways, so that's really been fun. So if you love fantasy football and you love this show, get with me next year before we get that thing rolling. We'll see if a few spots open up. We'll try to get as many people as we can in because I love playing fantasy football, and especially with the listeners, really some fun people in there, good people, as well as just love getting to know the listeners a bit more and showing them why I'm the top dog, why I won the league the first year, why I'm trying to get my crown back, as well as show these people what's up when it comes to drafting value and quality players from top to bottom. So have a lot of fun there, and always try to enjoy myself, as well as I'm definitely trying to win. There's no question. So let's go ahead and get into this. I mean, when you're talking about the scheme, when it comes to the Lions offense, to me, I talked about it earlier, they're going to be run heavy. I think they're going to be a timing passing game. And by that, I mean Jared Goff, until he proves otherwise, has had some struggles throwing the football down the field. But I think if he's protected, he's pretty dang good at scanning the field and hitting people underneath and crossers. One of my big beefs with Matt Stafford all the time was he didn't have to seem the greatest touch when it was to get people in stride. I mean, you can hit a guy in stride with like an 8-yard crossing route. He can run for 30 yards, That's a real key to the quarterback position. I think Jared Goff has that, as well as being able to layer the football over the middle, tight ends, guys running little option routes like DeAndre Swift, things like that. So I think it will be an underneath timing type passing game, but they do have some speed on the outside, so I think they will take some deep shots. I really do. I think they will get Perriman, try to get him behind the defense. Tyrell Williams also has been a guy who's been a big play guy at times during his career. And the biggest thing with that is I think Perriman's the wild card to me. I mean, he's had a few productive games. He's had a few interesting seasons. He's also had some down seasons, so I don't know if he's going to be, the number one on this team. I've been touting that Tyrell Williams is number one, but there is some things coming out that Perriman might be a very dynamic player because he's going to be used a lot here. There's also people that think he's going to lose snaps to like St. Brown and Cephas and things like that. So we'll see, but he can definitely run. There's no question. So it takes some deep shots there. Another thing that I think is going to be big when you're talking scheme is play action. I think if we can get that run game, and if we do have a quality offensive line, again, I'm not out there on the football field, but I think play action, when it's done properly, is very effective. Be able to put that ball in the belly of the running back, pull it back, get those linebackers to suck up, and then throw that dang thing down the field. And they did do that under Bevel and company. Matt Stafford, did like to get those fakes and then take some shots. I can't say he was always as accurate as I would have liked on those deep balls, but that's definitely something I feel like. And Jared Goff can do some boot. He can do some boot game. He can throw on the run. He's got some things in his trick bag. There's no question. So don't be surprised if the Lions do a lot of play action, a lot of rollouts, and try to move the pocket, as well as just keep people guessing. Are we really running it? Are we faking the run? Are we throwing up over the top? Are we hitting you underneath? I think they're really going to change it up, which I'm all for all that. I have, on my little short list here, creativity. Do you think the Lions are going to be creative when it comes to offense? Do you think they're going to have some trick plays up their sleeve? Do you think they're going to surprise you on Sundays where, by week 4, are you going to know what's coming? There's been way too many years with the Lions where we're sitting there like 2nd and 8 and we're like, draw play, 3rd and short, shotgun, knowing that they're still going to run it and get stuffed. They're going to throw an out route to so-and-so. And, it's just like it's been predictable, especially in the red zone and whatnot. So are they going to change it up where like every week we're kind of like, man, we're healthy on offense, and who knows what they're going to do this week. They might do the complete opposite of what they did before, or they're going to get in a rhythm where we kind of know what we're going to expect. So I would love to see some creativity. I think trick plays really help you win ball games in the NFL. Everybody can grind it out and can, they watch their P's and Q's, but a lot of the things that work, especially offensively, I think are those tendency breakers where, man, the Lions always do this. Oh, not that time. Touchdown. I think Dan Miller would love it, if something like that happened where they just, hey, this is the same old play. We always see it from the Lions. Oh, nope, that's a 50-yard touchdown.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Exactly, Dan Miller. That'd be tremendous. So hopefully they're creative. We'll wait and see, but I don't want to know every week what we're going to get. I want to be surprised, excited, all that type of stuff. Now, are they going to be attacking, or are they going to try to control the game? I think in 2021, to be honest, they're not going to be ultra aggressive. Well, I take that back. I mean, that seems to be the easy answer. Like, they're not going to be too crazy. They're going to just sort of see what they got and be patient and all that stuff. Now that I think about it, it could be the exact opposite. I could see Dan freaking Campbell and Brad Holmes and these OCs and these former players drawing up these game plans where it's just like throwing caution to the wind and just coming out swinging, taking haymakers on people. I mean, seriously, I could. So if I had to lean one way or the other, I think it would be more attacking, more all or nothing than this control, try to grind it out, try to, hold the ball and hope that you can win. I think they'd much rather come after you and try to win at a high level. Let's see here. I'll just run through a few things. I mean, when it comes to the approach, a couple things I was curious about is, you think they'll allow Swift and Hawk to be game changers? I mean, I think those are the two best offensive players on the Detroit Lions, but I feel like the last few years, even going back multiple coaches, it's like they never used Calvin the way they should have. They never accentuated Stafford's big arm, really. We hamper these guys. We hold them down instead of saying, okay, what do you do well? Okay, we're going to do that. What do you you're a dominant player? I think Dan Campbell had a great quote in one of his pressers. He was like, if we got a receiver that continually gets open or is on their worst corner, that's where we're going to go. I mean, very simple, very pragmatic, but makes sense to me. Who's your worst player? Who's our best player? Let's try to get our best player on your worst player and go to work. You know what I mean? And I do hope they do that. But Swift, Hawk, yeah, they need to be featured. They need to be game changers, no question. Is it going to be even run and pass? Or are they going to be lopsided? We kind of hit on that before. I would assume overall it's going to be pretty even. And if I had to go one way or the other, I do think they'll be a little more run heavy, but you need to get the ball to Swift in the passing game. You need to be dynamic. When I talked about the surprise plays, of pulling out some things that are different, even if it's a run, make it different. If it's a pass, make it unique. So most teams are around that 60-40 type setup. I mean, Lions will probably be that, but they may go old school and be 60-55 plus in the run game and the rest in the pass. We'll wait and see. But I would love it if they aired it out a little bit too, because depending on how these receivers do, that does seem to be what works in today's game. You can't touch anybody, and you just got to let it fly. You know what I mean? Talked about kind of aggressive approach. We talked about that. Accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. I hit on that a moment ago as well. I think Dan Campbell and company are going to be very aware and interested in doing that. And that's one thing I feel like Matt Patricia thought that he did well. He thought that he, like, every week we're come up with a different game plan. We're going to do whatever's open. But he didn't. He always did the thing that, like, was the worst idea. It was like, hey, this team's bad at running. Okay, let's not run it at all. Hey, this team has had trouble with their tackling, and they wouldn't put any pressure on them to make tackles. Oh, this team turns it over a lot. They never pressure. It's just like, I think he tried to change it up all the time. Only thing he changed it to was the complete opposite of what you probably should have done. So hopefully they'll get that right. I mean, I'd like to see him be aggressive on short yardage, red zone. I mean, end of games. Like, if we're in the football game, try to go win it. Don't just try to hang on or hope the other team screws up. Go get it. You know what I mean? I think the players that they're going to have to lean on when you're talking about offense is pretty obvious. Swift, Goff, Hockenson, and then, like, I'm interested. I'm very, very interested what Tyrell, Perriman, and Cephas are going to be. I really am. Like, they could be way better than advertised, or they could be the worst in the game, in the league. You know what I mean? I could see either one happening. So with that being said, like, I'll wait and see on some of those guys. I'm obviously optimistic. I mean, again, you guys know the name of the show, right? It's called Detroit Koolaid.
Drink it in, man.
So I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to root for them. Obviously, that's much I do rather than say, oh, they're going to be horrible, when really in my head I'm hoping they'll be good. You know, ever been around people like that where they're just like trying to like show how smart they are with football, or like they're going to just knock the Lions, and really in the back of their head they're like, man, I hope these guys are good. I hope we win games. But it's much easier out in front to go negative and then just be happy with the positive. But with those guys, like, waiting to see or hoping they're going to be good, like, I kind of just circled St. Brown as our guy. There's a lot of buzz around this kid. You know, there's a lot of, you saw the video, the Lions seem to love him. They had him circled early on in the draft process, as well as he's no nonsense. I feel like he'd start from day one. He's going to be hard to cover. I like his game. I really do. So to me, that's kind of the receiver that I'll be most focused on to see, what does he got? What's his ceiling? What can this kid do from day one, from Jump Street? And can he be a dynamic slot player? Can he give us even more than that in different areas of the football field? I really hope so, because, again, he made my list. And, again, those are the skill guys. And, again, the offensive line hangs on Decker, Ragnow, and Sewell. And then you're interested to see what Jonah Jackson does in year 2 as well. So with all that being said, I mean, when you're talking about the offense, you'd be looking at those guys, hoping our O-line is much better. To me, the main factors that are important is the O-line going to live up to all the assets they put into it? Are they going to be top 10 basically from week 1? Or are they going to struggle, and then by mid to end of the year they're playing, you know, mid to upper tier type football? I need it right away pretty much. I also need us to finally put to bed that we're not throwing parties and giving out rainbows and sunshines for a 100-yard rusher. We're not like sitting here going crazy because our running back has 600 or 700 yards on the ground. Like, let's get a run game. Let's get a stud in there. And let's work them, you know, let's actually get him the football and expect every week that Swizzle's going to have 75 in the run game and, you know, 50-some plus in the pass game. I mean, obviously you can't do that every week, but you got to start setting bars that are a little more, you know, got to have higher expectations and know that let's just put this 1,000-yard rusher to bed, that we haven't had one of those since Reginald Bush, as well as way before that. I mean, it's just an embarrassing stat, as well as, I mean, we're out here just acting like we won the Super Bowl because Kerryon Johnson ran for $120. I mean, come on, man. We got to get out of that mold. So, O-line, rushing game. And the other thing is Jared Goff. You know, he's the quarterback. What has he got? So, when you're talking about, like, winning factors for this offense, because everybody knows it's all about the W's, all we want is wins. Yes, we want to be entertained. I've talked a lot on this show and my other show, Believe in Lions, BLEAV in Lions on the Believe Podcasting Network, that we want mojo, we want swagger, we want to be a little bit nasty, we want to be fun to watch. But we want to win at the end of the day.
I want winners. I want people that want to win.
Exactly, Mike Singletary. I mean, we've had too many people like this recently with the Lions or coaching the Lions.
Cannot play with them. Cannot win with them. Cannot coach with them. Can't do it.
Can't do it. You absolutely can't do it. I mean, we got to start winning in Detroit.
I want winners. I want people that want to win.
Exactly. I mean, everybody is excited about that. So winning factors for this team when you're talking offense, execution. You hear it all the time. It's coach speak. Oh, we got to execute better. We got to try better. Yeah, The execution from quarters 1 to 4 needs to be better, more consistent, as well as more dynamic. I mean, that's plain and simple. The Detroit Lions, if you want to win ball games, you need to protect number 16, Jared Goff, back there playing quarterback. And I'm talking consistently protect him. Wherever he drop back, he's not scared for his life. He's not worried about somebody coming loose and killing him. It's going to happen. Jared Goff will get blown up this year from time to time. But if you can give him that mindset that the majority, 98, 95% of the time, he doesn't have to worry about somebody coming straight clean and getting him, he'll deal with the other things that come up when you're a quarterback. You know, be able to move the pocket, being able to get rid of the football. But you got to be able to protect him, keep him clean, and give him that confidence that he can stand back there and play how he plays, which, again, may not be as eye-popping sometimes as Matt Stafford, but, I mean, the guy's a winner. He really is.
I want winners. I want people that want to win.
Exactly. I think Jared Goff's got a little bit of winner in him, as well as a little bit of sneaky, hey, we're going to be sitting there in weeks 1, 2, 3, like, hey, we might have ourselves a quarterback here. This guy's playing good ball. He's putting on receivers. He's accurate. He's been dynamic. He's putting up some touchdowns, some yardages that we like. I could definitely see that. Another way that you got to win from the offensive perspective, you got to outthink the other coaches. You got to draw up some game plans, some plays, some sneaky tactics that are just things that the other team did not plan for. How many times have we heard the last little bit, oh man, I knew what the Lions were doing. Oh, I knew that was coming. Like, I thought Matt Patricia was that guy, and instead of outthinking the other team, he outthought himself, and he didn't think enough because he didn't do a damn thing during the game. He just sat there with his arms crossed and watched our team get just whooped up and down the field. So Dan freaking Campbell needs to just straight up outdo the other coaches. Like, you come up against a coach that is not one of the elite, go out, think him, go out, strategize him, and beat him, and physically, not physically, but what I'm saying is almost have that mindset of like, I'm going to impose my will on this guy, and I'm going to outdo his coaching and not let him up either. The one thing the Lions coaches and players do, we get up a little bit or we're playing decent, take the foot off the gas. How about we just stomp some people when it comes to like what we're doing coaching wise as well as playing on the field? That'd be nice. I think they got to compensate for maybe the lack of talent with the creativity and the aggressiveness that I mentioned before. I think they got to bring excitement, swagger, physicality, mojo, things I also mentioned earlier. You might think, what does that matter? Like, these so-and-so, Bill Belichick, these people, they're stoic and they win. Yeah, but I'm telling you, like, Detroit Lions fans as well as the players, the coaches, they just need to have a new vibe this year. Again, I'm not even as worried about the W's as I am. Like, when I turn on the game, I want to see a team that plays with passion, physicality, excitement, and loves the game and is only going to get better with time. And if I get that, I think everything else will follow. So we need that. And the final thing that I'm most focused on is I need a focused football team. I need a team in Detroit wearing that Honolulu blue and silver that is focused throughout the week of practice. You can have all the fun you want. You can dance, you can whoop it up with your teammates, you can joke around in the media, but I just need that focus on what's your job, what are you going to do, what do you got to do to help us win, and then I need you to go execute, as I said earlier, on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, whenever we're playing, because I've always seen kind of an unfocused, undisciplined type team, and catch the football when it's thrown to you. Focus even harder when we're inside the red zone to be able to make a play. Don't wake up in the third or fourth quarter and start playing. Like, play from the get-go. And like I said, Detroit's a hard-working city. So if we see you working hard and having fun and being productive, this town will love this team, this coaching staff, and these players, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So, everybody, that's what I got for you today. I'm really excited about the Lions offense. It's definitely a wild card, and it's getting no respect when you talk about the receivers, Jared Goff. People are even doubting what Swift can do. Oh, maybe Jamal Williams is going to be the guy. I can't wait to see what they do and what they bring. I think they're going to be much better than expected when it's all said and done. Now, are they going to be top 10 in the league? No. Are they going to be even that upper third? Maybe not. But I think they're going to be right in the middle of the pack as far as when the stats are broken down. And all you got to do is score one more point than your opponent. So that's the Lions need to focus on. But yes, they need to be fun to watch. They need to be hardworking. They need to execute. And they need to focus. And this city will love that. So everybody, we'll get to the defense at another time and talk all about them. But until then, thank you guys so much for listening to Detroit Koolaid Cast. I hope you have a great Friday, an incredible weekend, and I'll catch you next week right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. I'm out.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.